I can't change geography, you know. I try to be a strong man, but I can change policy, but I can't change geography. Hungary is a landlocked country, so we have pipelines only. So we have to buy it from the Russians.
What does the EU need to do to protect itself against hybrid threats?
You mean Hungary?
The EU.
The EU?
Part of the EU, right?
Okay, EU. EU consists of member states. So if each member state defends itself against hybrid attack, EU is protected.
Why?
Has been prepared enough for the drone attacks? Do you think Denmark has been prepared enough for the drone attacks?
You know, as I said, the European Union consists of the member states. If member states are prepared, we are, as European Union, is prepared. So shoot them down. That's so simple. Don't complicate too much. If drone is coming which does not belong to you, shoot them down.
All of them?
So on solidarity, what do you make of the concept you're blocking Ukrainian membership of the EU? Why?
Because we have a better idea.
Which is?
A strategic partnership to Ukraine. Because membership would mean that the war is coming into the European Union. The European Union money is going to Ukraine, which we don't like. So membership is too much. Strategic agreement with a fair deal, even consisting of economic issues, energy issues, trade issues, security, that's fine.
The most profoundly important to have 100% companies to protect Hungarian interests. Yesterday was a difficult day, and today will not be easy. In essence, every proposal on the table is a war proposal. Give more money to the Ukrainians for war. Give weapons to the Ukrainians for war. Speed up entry to the European Union. So it's all about war. So the way I see it, the Union has decided to go to war. And yesterday they even presented the war strategy on how to defeat the Russians. It's creepy. This is bad for Hungary. I think it's bad for the European Union. But the pressure is on. So the way I see it is that I will propose to the Fidesz presidency that we launch a petition in Hungary against Brussels' war plans, because we will need all our strength to get out of this war.
We will be seeing the European political family and, of course, the threat from Russia, Europe's security situation, our need of rearming ourselves is number one discussion, including Ukraine. The President Zelensky will, of course, participate in our discussions, and beside that, we will also focus on migration. So I look forward in seeing all the neighboring countries here in Copenhagen today.
What does Europe need to do to fight the hybrid threats, not only the drones, but also cyber threats and other threats to civil infrastructure?
Yeah. That is one of the most important questions to ask today, because there is not only hybrid attacks, there is a hybrid war going on in Europe right now. It is part of rearming ourselves, because when I say rearming Europe, it means also make a more robust European society. I think we have to focus, of course, on the cyber attacks and the risk of sabotage and anti-drone capacities, and therefore it was good that we had discussions with the European Union yesterday about building a kind of a drone wall that can be used, of course, especially when it comes to hybrid war.
What can Europe learn from Ukraine here?
Everything. And the only experts right now in the world when it comes to anti-drone capacities is unfortunately Ukraine, because they are fighting the Russian drones almost every day.
Why is it that Europe is not moving quickly enough on this?
Well, we are not moving quickly enough on anything, meaning that I think everybody underestimated how big a threat Russia actually is. Not saying that we haven't done anything, because we are doing a lot. And my hope is that everybody will recognize that we have to look at Ukraine as the first line of defense. So everything we do in Ukraine is defending ourselves in the rest of Europe. So we are doing a lot, but we have to speed up and we have to scale up. I would say that 2035 will be too late. When we are talking about rearming Europe, we have to be able to defend ourselves totally, I will say, at 2030.
Why would it?
If 2030 is too late, what would the time frame be? What do you think the time frame is?
I think 35 is too late. I think 2030 should be the fixed point, but not meaning that we can wait until 2030, meaning that we have to do everything possible now And your two questions are interlinked because we need to take all the experiences, all the new technology, all the innovation from Ukraine and to put it in our own rearming.
Is there going to be any discussion about the Gaza flotilla?
Huh?
Is there going to be any discussion about the Gaza flotilla and what happened yesterday night?
No, we are going to talk today about our own defense and deterrence, and we are going to talk about migration, how to control our own borders, and I guess we will also talk about economy and competitiveness. Thank you.
Prime Minister, your old friend, I feel like saying, President Zelensky is here when you have had a meeting with him. What have you discussed?
It is absolutely correct that we had a meeting here early this morning. We have discussed several different things, but especially the issue of drones. Ukraine helps Europe in this situation, and that Ukraine also helps Denmark. And we are planning to intensify cooperation in this area. The technology is advancing at lightning speed, and everyone can see that both traditional conventional warfare has changed in nature. Because of drones, and the focal point of hybrid warfare includes drones now. And therefore, yes, it is a somewhat strange situation. I mean, we have a country that is in a full-scale war, which offers to help Denmark because we are under hybrid attack in this area. So we are going to intensify cooperation with Ukrainians because they are really the only ones who know how to handle the drone issue. To handle the drone issue, then there is a concern about energizing Ukraine's construction meeting, which perhaps is not necessarily beneficial. Yes, but you actually say it yourself in your question that it is Hungary that is our challenge. The rest of the EU agrees on continuing negotiations so that Ukraine can achieve membership. Ideally, I would like to see Ukraine in NATO because if we had achieved that, I don't think we would be witnessing the war we see in Europe right now. Now, when we can't achieve that, you could say that the next step we move towards is EU membership. And until now, Hungary is blocking it. It's not so easy to lift that blockade, because it's a right that member states have that they can block. I think I won't share what I say to Orban here. I speak with him quite a bit these days to see if we can somehow get around this. If there are no other options, then my suggestion would really be that we continue all the work with the aim of expanding. With Ukraine, even though we cannot formally open membership negotiations. That was also something you needed to discuss.
Can you talk a bit about what has come out of your discussion here? Is there any momentum in this solution? Or what is blocking that you can promise Ukraine instead, if it's not feasible right now? There is at least momentum in the discussion, but we are not at the point where we can say we are in agreement now. It is true that there has been consideration about changing the rules. The issue with that is that it requires unanimity to change the rules, so we actually risk ending up in the same place on both issues. And it is Hungary that is currently blocking for that, which I also believe is in Europe's strategic interest. Just as you have just seen the electoral actions in Moldova, a huge Russian influence campaign to destroy the small European country. And therefore, when we look at the broader, in terms of security policy, we need to make the EU larger. Otherwise, these countries will disappear in another direction, either voluntarily or, more likely, involuntarily. So I'm not sure we can reach unanimity on changing the rules. And that's why we are still working to see if we can find a way with Hungary. If that doesn't succeed, then my proposal would be that we actually begin all the work with Ukraine without making it formal. In other words, continue the entire reform cooperation. The entire reform cooperation. Regarding the loan mechanisms here, it is a premise that Russia must distance itself if you are to receive money. It is quite clear.
Isn't there a risk that you could end up with a tax development bill when Russia is not expected to distance itself?
I think we must insist as much as possible that Russia must pay for the crimes and the destruction they have caused in Europe. Therefore, I actually think that the Commission's proposal is quite well thought out. When we even have this discussion, it is because if we consider Ukraine as the first line of defense right now against Russia, which I believe is the right thing to do, then Ukraine has an urgent need for financing for their army. It is simply expensive to be at war. It is really expensive to be at war. So we need to find some money, and I actually believe that this is the best way. But you are right in that there needs to be a common guarantee. But we must do everything we can to put pressure on Russia in the right way. You are meeting with these tribes today, and in this that is exactly why we need to meet today. It is to discuss how we get a different set of rules regarding the deportation of criminal foreigners. It is my main priority in immigration policy. In addition to having control over how many come to Denmark and to Europe, it is also that we can send people home when they do not behave properly. And I believe that we have an opportunity to build an alliance with the United Kingdom, in a different way than previously. It will require us to convince the other countries, including here, that changes need to happen in the international rules, and we are fully on board with that. Unfortunately, I can't say more.